We need to get you on we need a boom arm, Adam.
Like on a guy attached to a headset.
I know a guy that has them.
Yeah, you know.
I just don't have it here.
We missed the headset. We can't make fun of you anymore.
You'd rather...
There you go.
Like this?
There you go.
Like,
looks familiar.
Time Life, this is Judy.
This is all right. I like the green light as I talk is neat.
That's very gamer.
Very gamer.
Should
turn the lights off and just do it gamer style.
You're like, frag him. Get him, you noob.
Get him, noob. I remember my first podcast.
Oh, man.
This is it.
No,
that wasn't a dig. This is it. Jeez.
Oh, this is it. This is my first.
It is, yeah. You guys.
Not our first
episode,
my
first podcast upstairs in at One Love Massive.
That's right.
That's sick as the greatest podcast studio ever.
One Love Massive. Still the best brand name, I think, ever.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Like the greatest t-shirts ever.
Yes.
Well, I shut down the company, but I kept the trademark, and because one day I will flood the world with One Love shirts because it's universal, man.
Universal.
Nice. Let's get together.
Yes.
Be all right.
Everyone
right,
takes that.
But let's talk about this microphone situation. All right, we were just chopping it up before we hit record about Marcus racing to the bottom with his microphone display. And so I'm just going to set you guys up. Marcus wants to compare a bunch of bad microphones. Adam wants to compare.
Forever all 20 of our listeners now.
Molly will summarize it.
Say it again.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
You can leave names out. What are you doing?
Well, I just ordered yet another microphone.
Yeah.
I've got all these on the shelf back here. Another garbage microphone. Amazon had another special today because it's that time of year. But it's a new microphone I haven't seen before.
It's like a strange torture fetish. Like
it is.
Like you don't like these things, but you love to buy these things and collect them.
I am buying these things to try to prevent other people who don't know any better from buying them. That's my goal.
Tell them your plan.
So it's a $15 mic. It actually looks cool. It looks like a podcasting mic, but for $16, I'm guessing it's not going to sound great. So I've already written a video where I'm going to compare all of the budget microphones because there are so many people that always ask what's cheaper than a Samson Q2U. Samson Q2U costs $60 to $70 and people don't want to spend even that much money. So I want to demonstrate, my goal is to demonstrate how absolutely awful the lowest end microphone is even compared to the Samson Q2U. And Adam has convinced me to include my SM7B in there. So I will end the video on a high note to show people if you want to sound like a real podcaster.
I don't think that's going to work for Adam. Go ahead, Adam.
It's all going to sound moderately decent. And we have talked for many episodes about people need to step their shit up.
Yeah.
And this
bar is way too low.
This is you're just going to enable 20 more people to make a very bad decision and say, oh, my AirPods are fine.
I guarantee you that I will be able to, for the people that care about how they sound. This video is not for the people who just don't want to spend any money. I don't care about those people.
This is exactly for those people because the most you're teaching them to do is that a Samson Q2U is acceptable and it's fine. It's fine.
It is.
But is it
acceptable.
Really?
Yes.
Is it really?
It is.
Marcus.
It is.
It is the same guy that the second Earthworks came out with the $600 podcast microphone. You're like, oh my God. Oh my God. What is this about? Tell me now. I need it. And we're like, I asked you that night because we had a gear jam. I was like, who's going to buy this microphone? And you said me. And everyone should have one. Everyone should have one. That's what I think what you said.
So this is the new Earthworks.
Whole video you're about to do is the opposite.
Yes.
Well,
exactly. I don't yell. I don't get loud. I don't get excited about much.
No, it's true.
I'm deeply upset with this whole. Who are you? What have you done with Marcus? This is unacceptable. You show one garbage microphone to say, listen, everybody, this is what you've been doing with your life. And then you show them everything else that's awesome about the world of microphones and interfaces and recording podcast equipment and podcast recorders.
Yes.
The end. I wrote your video. I rewrote it.
Done. Send me the check.
That's it. That's all I got for you, team.
Well, the joke's on both of you because the $16 microphone is actually just a tuna can that's going to arrive via Amazon. So
a string coming
with
out
a
the back
picture of a USB cable on it.
that wasn't even fully cleaned.
Or it's going to have a USB cable on it, but it just goes into the tuna can.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
USB enabled can mic.
So the reason why I'm doing this video is because
you're a sadist.
The venerable Pat Flynn, yeah, well, that too. But the Pat Flynn, who a lot of people listen to. You are such a
name dropper, Marcus. You are such a name dropper.
I saw that one of his writers on his blog did another recommendation for gear for 2021, and the freaking blue snowball was on there. I hate that microphone with every fiber of my being. I hate it so much. I bought one for $20 used on so that I can demonstrate it to show how bad it sounds compared to a proper microphone. So this is the purpose of the video, is to say, if you can't spend $10 more and get a Samson Q2U, then you need to pick something else to do with your time.
Says the guy talking into an SM7B and an Apollo interface.
Well, actually, I'm going through my Mix Pre 6.
Oh, right I'm sorry for the downgrade.
It's only $950 instead of
Are you going to plug those microphones into that recorder?
No, they're USB. All USB. They're all USB.
Even worse.
That's the whole point.
All right. Well, if there are people watching this, I want you to leave some comments for Marcus and tell him what you really think about this idea.
Please do. And also leave comments on the video when I release it. I welcome the feedback.
Adam is mad.
Can't talk about this anymore. I can't talk about this anymore.
This is holiday, like Adam. His fuse is short because he's
been working retail. Yeah. See what you've done to Adam? People
jacked up on peppermint sticks and
where's your chocolate? Where's your beverage? Come on, man.
I'm drinking water. What are you drinking?
Cheers.
This actually is an alcoholic.
But like it's seltzer thingy. Molly's drinking water? What is wrong with you?
Well, I drank like a bottle of rum last night, so I figured I should take it easy.
Oh, nice. This is your off night.
So it's like almost the end of the year.
Man.
Yep.
You know?
Madness.
Made it.
One.
Madness.
I feel like we should like... What were the best things of 2021? Right?
Earthworks ethos.
Stop. You don't get a say in anything anymore. We should probably talk about like the most major things in podcast world for the year.
The Earthworks ethos.
You're not in this conversation.
Okay.
Molly, what do you think?
I got something.
What happened in 21?
Well, today, the Association for the Hearing Impaired, I think, came out in the news that they sued Sirius for big money for not having transcripts on their podcasts.
Yes.
And so we are about to see a whole new world of inclusion, and I love to see it, quite frankly, because these companies are making so much money, and that's something that they could have done, and I'm sure was brought to their attention, and they had opted not to. Even a computer-generated transcription would have covered their basis, and it kind of shows how little they care. Yeah. And so I think that's fantastic. I love seeing stuff like that because it just means we're going to get more and more regulated in the industry. It'll become more and more accessible, and other things will be less suspect.
I agree.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Yes.
That is cool.
And thanks to AI, that's one of the things in 2021 that happened this year. There have been a lot of developments in AI and transcription. There's like a ton of options with transcription. Right. So there's no excuse for anyone. And even those of us indie podcasters, we should be working on inclusion for hearing impaired, for neurodiverse people,
Republicans,
all of them.
Everyone.
So what are the methods that other transcribing? What are the best ways to do it?
Well, there's so many different ways now. I mean, there's a million different software companies, but Google and a lot of the RSS, like everybody's adding their thing. Like Riverside does automatic transcriptions now, even.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know how good they are, but they don't have to be, transcriptions don't need to be 100% accurate at all. You ever had closed captions on the TV that was even remotely close to 100% accurate? Like, right. So it's just about getting the idea there and getting the SEO and the bulk of it, and people can kind of read between the lines enough to get it done. So it doesn't have to be 100% accurate, but it needs to be there.
Yep.
So, and when I did that speaking for Kalamazoo Social Media Week, I spoke on ADA compliant content. So I learned a lot about that. And 26% of the American population is legally disabled. So I don't know what percentage of that is deaf or blind or whatever, right? We don't need to get into that, but that's a significant percentage of the population. So it's not just 3% of your potential audience. It's like, man, 25%, a quarter of your audience is disabled. So, you should consider those things. So I think it's great. I don't know if that means Spotify is automatically doing it or they're going to get sued next. Maybe Monday is Spotify, Wednesday it'll be iHeart. Who knows? Maybe I don't really know the specifics, but I just like to see the accountability. I don't like anybody specifically getting sued, but I appreciate the accountability and that forward thinking in the industry. So
totally.
I hope that continues into 2022.
Yep.
Shut them down.
Amen.
Yeah.
Shut them down.
And then as far as this year, this has been a crazy year, kind of looking back at the business, looking back at the year. Definitely had PTSD from that break-in and all that stuff. And we still managed to match the same revenue numbers this year as last year. And I was pretty much checked out for about 7 months. So I'm allowing myself to be proud of those numbers. And I did the math, and we've sold $850,000 worth of services through Heartcast Media in the last 3 years.
That's so badass, Molly. That's awesome.
It's crazy, right? And so
it's all because of this podcast.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it was,
I'm totally
thanks to all 19 of you. But I have some ideas. We're gonna fix that because we've got a great show here. We're not doing the right thing, so we're gonna fix that. But I think it was a really good reminder to as a business owner or a content creator, you're so focused on the last week or the last episode or the, payroll or the numbers. And it's you forget to kind of take a step back and look at the bigger picture and be proud of what you have accomplished, and not so focused on what you didn't get done. And so that was a good reminder. So I'm feeling really grateful. Got lots of new clients coming on board. We, hired a new employee, a new full-time employee for Heartcast Media, my cousin Anthony Sciano, who's going to be the relationship manager, to be the liaison between the client and Heartcast so that Matt can stay focused on editing and not be an email. And we've grown the team a little bit. We brought Morgan in to do social media, on a contract basis, but, we're growing. So it's exciting. We've got a nice little family at Heartcast, and business is growing, and I've set a goal to do $1 million in revenue next year. So that's what I'm.
Get it.
That would be it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing. So I'm spending a lot of 10-hour days sitting behind my computer, writing blogs, newsletter, outlines, designing these websites, lead magnets, mini courses. I've been working my face off, honestly, but.
And so where do you think the podcast world's going in 2022? What was the biggest, from 2020 to 2021, what was the biggest change in how podcasters podcast? What is the trend that you see the most from your angle?
From where I'm sitting, the branded podcast, just that so many more businesses are understanding how incredibly effective a branded podcast can be for their business and should drive revenue and create strategic relationships. And I feel in the beginning of Heartcast, it was me explaining how a podcast can be used as a business tool, where now people are coming to me I know this can work, but we just need help with the production, or we just need, that expertise. But there's a lot more people understanding the power of a branded podcast. They're seeing it work. All the clients are coming back, right? So it's working for them. They're telling other people. The word is spreading. And I think maybe some people thought the pandemic would kind of lift and we'd all be back in offices, and then podcast listening kind of waned a little bit, but now it's back on the rise again. And I think we're all really settling into this remote thing, which has opened up a lot of doors for podcasters and who they can interview, to even think about that, right? So, even us, like, this would have been so much harder if it wasn't in the pandemic. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even with me and you being in the same town, the same place, like, that would have been super inconvenient, taking so much more time. So I really think people are settling into, like, this is the way we do things now. And this is going to be a great business development tool that's not going to go anywhere for a long time, because we're not going to get back to full boat conventions and business trips and networking for like a while.
Agreed.
Yep.
That's big.
Yeah.
What about in 22? Do you think it's still the same? It's diving, people becomes more mainstream, I guess?
Yeah, I think podcast advertising is going to be like at the forefront. I think a lot more people are going to be looking at getting on other people's podcasts as a business development tool, like people who aren't wanting to do their own podcast. I think you'll see a lot more of that, better quality guests, because I think people are really settling, and this isn't just like a pandemic phase. All the OG podcasters just like rolled over in their mixing booths when I said that. But like a lot of people are like, oh yeah, the pandemic, I made sourdough bread and listened to podcasts too. And it's like, no, man, that's not who we're talking about. So I think the industry is going to continue to grow. I'm a little concerned of all these like conglomerations and like these huge mergers and all this big money, because it's just like, whenever there's big money, there's big problems. But
yeah, I think I just saw breaking news from James Cridlin at Pod News tonight, because he's in Australia, that Spotify bought another company.
Of course they did.
Yeah.
Was it me?
So.
Marcus, what do you think is the biggest thing in 21 that was different than 2020?
The biggest thing this year that was different from the previous year, I do think people are, like Molly said, just to go off of, like, I agree completely with what she said, and to go even further, the monetization aspect of podcasting, I think people are finally realizing not just opportunities, but also how serious you have to be to actually make something out of your podcast. You have to treat it like a business, because a lot of the people that I meet at our like Nashville podcasters meetup and stuff like that, they're like, yeah, I've got an idea for a podcast and I'm going to make $1 million and I'm going to talk about movies with my best friend. And it's like, no, man, that's not going to work. So just like with the branded podcast people, which I feel like are a little bit further ahead now at this point, thanks to people like Molly, the average Joe podcasters too are becoming more aware, and it's there's more and more noise you got to compete with now too in the space. So you really have to step up your game. And so that's something too that I'm working hard with this podcast Audio Lab content that I keep, it's a lot of work to get it done. Molly's writing email newsletters and stuff too, like but we're working on informing our branded podcast clients. I'm creating a page on my website called How Podcasting Works. That's going to be a resource for my business clients that like just don't have a clue about everything it takes to get from an idea to people's ears. And it's going to work for, those beginner podcasters too. That's not who I'm doing it for, but it's a lot of stuff. And so there's a lot of new resources coming by both Molly and I and other people too. So it's going to be a good next year, I feel like.
How about you, Adam?
Well, I agree with what you said, that what was podcasting in 2019 definitely got obliterated in 2020 and continued to, you thought, it has a lot to do with what people's comfort levels are with things. I saw a major drop off in people buying USB microphones and a big return to things like Roadcasters and other like podcast mixers like that. So that tells me people wanted to get together. They were doing it in person. They were getting around a mixer and doing it around the campfire and telling stories. And but both existed, and so now there's kind of this confusion about how to, like, you could do it in the platform, right? But there's these new technologies, and you got some podcasters that are like not the people that are just getting into it. I guess what I'm trying to say is it's harder to find out what the right solution is, where it used to be pretty boilerplate.
Right.
But now you have a lot of, you saw a couple cool tools come into their own. Probably the MV7 is the biggest one.
Mm-hmm.
You see it, Molly's using it, you see everyone using it. It's kind of become like, it's a hard thing to come up with a microphone that people care about. SM7B is like 50 years old,
Right.
So like
50 years old?
Yeah, it was designed in the 70s.
Yeah.
And it's based on technology that was designed in the 40s.
So it's not a lot out there that is terribly exciting.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But the MV7 did a good job. And so it'll be interesting to see. I mean, it's like that's like a worthwhile investment because it can kind of dip in post-COVID, pre-COVID, kind of like both worlds.
Interesting.
So that's kind of what I see in the world of, people a lot of things came out that did loopback, and I'm still trying to figure out what that is. Marcus has told me several times, and I still don't quite understand how you set it up. But like I feel like that stuff is like too early. Like most people don't even understand that that's necessary or a thing at all.
Right.
And when you have Riverside and SquadCast and Cleanfeed and all those, you don't need loopback.
There's this
if
grind
you're still using
between,
Skype.
Yeah, there's this grind between the whole, these amazing services have come a long way. That's another huge development.
Yeah.
We weren't doing this. Everyone was trying to figure out how to record on Zoom last year. These probably existed, but that's probably the biggest thing to come out of all of this is services like this that provide a great product to work with. It gives you a lot of the functionality that you had before in a way that lets you reach more people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Internet's a pretty cool thing.
I mean, the technology, I love all this remote video stuff. Teams, Zoom, fucking bring it, all that shit. It's such a time saver. I spent so much time and money moving around DC, sitting in traffic, paying for parking, being annoyed. The fact that you can have back-to-back meetings with people in different countries and different states so easily and have that personal connection. It's not a phone call. I appreciate getting on a video call with a new client or anybody and seeing their face. Hey, how you doing? Oh, where are you? Oh, your hair looks great. Whatever. You know what I mean? There's still that personal connection, enough for you to do really good business with anybody.
What I hope is that we see a lot more of this, but we see kind of like we saw in podcasting and kind of the antithesis of Marcus's video, that we see people kind of come to realize the caliber of the product again. You saw it a lot in Zoom, right? People were sitting in the dark and talking to their computer microphone and just sounding awful and they're sitting in a bathtub. And then you saw everybody get a microphone and a boom arm and headphones and a cool setup, and they have backlights.
Yeah.
So I hope that they continue to find ways to be more awesome.
I do think that's actually a thing coming up for 2022 is improved video quality, because there are at least 2 new webcam products that have built-in AI for improving your video quality. They're trying to, for $200, $300, get DSLR quality, which is normally $600 to $1,000.
Yeah, I'm surprised that I guess with all the shortages and the chips and whatever, but if I was in a technology company, that'd have been the first thing I would have done is created. I saw one of those Kickstarter type things, and it's this little camera kind of on a string, and it just hangs down and it squarely sits, and so it blocks a little bit of your screen, but not enough to And so then you can make eye contact with people, and I think that really matters. I have my webcam on a selfie stick in front of me with a light, and then that way it's blocking you guys a little bit, but it's close enough that I'm not this the whole episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if I put it up there, by looking here, it looks like I'm looking down. So, but anyway, I can't believe that somebody hasn't like come up with that sooner. You know, just a high quality like.
Just didn't. It wasn't even on like Zoom as a product was like, oh, I'm gonna try this goofy thing that people do sometimes called Zoom. Now it is like in the dictionary, and it means something like you. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's also amazing how quickly people got good at this shit. Like most people, okay, not most people.
Yeah.
I'd take that completely
I was
back.
going to say.
People recognize good shit. And I think, everyone thought they needed an SM7B last year and that's still the shit. But there's a lot of, people are learning what else is important. And I think it's going to be exciting to see what happens next and what people gravitate to, what people find valuable in the quality of what we do. And it'll be interesting.
And along those lines with video, as it relates to podcasting, because all of these platforms now include, well, not all of them, because platforms like Riverside, there's another new service called Iris, I think is it's called, that's more affordable. I know there's like some of the other services have video recording, but it's like prohibitively expensive. But that said, with this improvement in video quality, accessibility to better equipment, and with the information that's being discussed by people like Tom Webster from Edison Digital about how important it is to be on YouTube, which, Molly, you've been talking about that ever since I've known you, about how important it is to be on YouTube.
Gang.
Just as, a discovery engine and the search and people just spend so much time on YouTube. But I do feel like we're going to be seeing more podcasts doing what we're doing and putting their video content, a video version of the podcast on YouTube as well, thanks to all these things coming together.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's good. I think, what I think would be super cool, and maybe we should start this movement, Adam, is like, bosses should be buying every single one of their employees earbuds, a boom arm, and a microphone, because all your sales meetings will go better. All your internal meetings will go better. You won't have all that, like, that's what companies should do. They're not spending all this money on having people in the offices. They're saving a lot of money in certain areas. They could spend $300 on every employee and ship them a thing, and I guarantee you they'd see like
that
trackable difference in closed deals.
Yeah,
especially
absolutely.
As we go into the metaverse, and people are going to need to be able to have their meetings in the metaverse. I've been going down this is not a conversation for now. I feel like this is the beginning of 22 conversation when we should have our next podcast in the metaverse and figure out how the fuck to do that.
A metacast. Shit, trademark.
Uh-oh.
Shit, we said it first. Fuck. We said it here. 12/16, 7:39 p.m. Eastern time.
Gang.
That's it. Bing bong.
Bing bong.
Copyright. Trademark.
That's it. That's 2022's
Yeah,
jam.
It's a whole new world. It's a whole
the
new
verse. Podverse.
The podverse.
Shortening the terms. I still refuse to use the term pod for podcast.
Doing
but
a
I'm
pod.
old.
Just change our name to the Pod Club for 22 also.
Club.
No.
Pod Club. Podclub.tv.
We talk about DAWs.
You guys are pushing all my buttons.
Pod doll.
Pod doll.
Oh, man.
That was payback from the microphone video.
Conversation for next year.
Pod DAWs.
Pod DAWs.
It's hilarious. Marcus is fully triggered. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm excited to see what happens next. I'm excited for life, for business, for the industry. I think it's a good time to be creating content in general.
That is it. Content remains to be king. Or queen.
Indeed. Well, you guys got any plans for the holiday? What's gonna happen in your world?
Nothing.
Me?
You're looking at it.
Yeah.
I'll be here at my desk.
Survive.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm celebrating with my Christmas lights on the porch.
Ah, nice.
Nice.
I'm gonna get a tree maybe on Sunday.
There you go.
Why not?
Why not?
Get
What the
in the
hell?
spirit, you know?
Get in the
Do it.
spirit, yeah. The
Drink
Charlie
some
Brown
eggnog.
tree.
Do the thing.
And I rented a
Yeah.
house at the volcano for New Year's Eve. on the lake.
Man, you've been going to some insane places.
I know.
Those mountain spots overlooking the ocean and crazy.
Costa Rica's backyard.
Yeah, my whole life looks like that. I just haven't been sharing it as much, but like everywhere I go, I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's so pretty.
Yeah.
It's like everywhere. I'm like, it's even prettier. Like I get so upset sometimes. Like I get overwhelmed. Like R&all, you turn corners and you're like, it's like Jurassic Park. Like R&all, literally, there's like toucans flying by and like monkeys in the trees and shit and like what looked like eagles soaring by. I don't even understand. There's bugs
Goldblum.
you never seen. Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum just hanging out.
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum. Giant footsteps. The huge.
But see, that's Molly. That is exactly why I spend so much money on all this stuff, because I don't have all that amazing scenery. So I have to make it for myself here in my little desk in Nashville, Tennessee.
I heard that. Well, that's where I'm taking more pictures. I've been kind of slacking about it. I got a little weird about privacy and stuff after the break-in, but whatever. I'm over that shit now. So I'm flying my drone, taking more pictures, going out.
Cool.
Doing the thing, documenting more of it, sharing it with people. So, yeah, man, I'm excited to see what happens next. I feel like I'm fully back until the next crazy traumatic thing happens anyway. But for now, I feel more like myself than I have since I moved here.
It's a good way to start the next year.
It is, right. Man. It is.
Hit the ground running.
Dude, I've been reading some amazing books I got to share with you guys. I don't know if I already shared these with you, but Storybrand by Donald Miller. Amazing, beautiful, really good book. $100 million offers by Alex Hermosi.
Cool.
Game changer.
You
Adam
told us about that, but not on the show yet.
Yeah, Adam, you will love that book.
Okay.
You will love it.
What's next?
Yeah, and it's like 4 hours long, so if you speed it up a little bit, you can get through it like, going to the football game this Sunday and back, right? Like, well, maybe not back. But. Get Different by Mike Michalowicz. And it's just about like, he wrote Profit First and Fix X Next, and he's just like really smart. But the one that I'm reading right now, where is it? What It Takes by Reagan Moya Jones. Here for it. And I'm excited in 2022 to read more business books written by women. And I realize that means I might have to write one of them eventually, because, man, there are not enough women's voices.
You're gonna write that book.
Fuck, man.
That's right. Jen's working on hers too. So
we need more women.
Book. Yeah. And I've got a book coach friend that I can hook up with if you need help writing. So
sweet. Well, I made plans with a girlfriend of mine. We're going to rent a house in Santorini, Greece in the month of November next year, 2022. And we're going to write a book.
I'm hanging up. Sounds ridiculous. Ridiculously awesome.
This is what happens when you get to the point.
I do not accept anymore. You guys off the deep end.
I mean, come with me. You know what I mean? Just leave everything. Bring the wife, the dogs.
In that case.
Sorry.
Right. In that case.
Sorry, Chuck Levins.
Well, Chuck Levins would probably implode without Adam there.
Pretty good outlook on 22. I'd say it's a good cherry on top at the end of the year.
I think so.
Lots to be grateful for. Really excited to be working with my cousin. A lot of people, it's a very American thing. I have enough friends who are not American to understand, but we are so dead set on not working with our friends or family, and that, it's always bad. And I think people misheard it. You shouldn't work with all of your family members or all of your friends, but you shouldn't not ever work with them either, right? Like, you just have to know when to hold them and when to fold them. And I'm really, really excited about this next chapter of my life for myself and my business and my family. So I'm grateful for you guys, and I'm looking forward to what happens next.
I'm just grateful to be on this journey with you too. Like, I'm in a little piece of it that I get to be a part of what you're doing, because it's fun to watch, man. I
spend more time with you guys than lots of other people, so.
Same
no
here.
other way. Ain't no other way to do it.
Other than my wife, I probably spend more time with you guys every week than
exactly.
else.
Exactly. All right, y'all. Well, if you're listening out there, we appreciate you. We value you. We hope you have a fantastic holiday season, whichever holiday you may celebrate or despise, whatever your jam is. We support you in that mission, and we got some good stuff planned for you next year. And yeah, man, we'll catch you on the next one.
Here's to 2022.
Gang, gang.